1. Cleopatra married 2 of her younger brothers. Oh my. Cleopatra was one of 4 children born to King Ptolemy XII and his wife, Cleopatra VI Tryphena, who was probably his cousin or maybe his sister. Whoa, sounds gross, I know. But this incestuous practice was a totally common and normal thing for most royal dynasties of the past. And the Ptolemies were no different. The reasoning was that marrying within the family kept the bloodline pure. Unfortunately, people back then simply didn't know about the array of genetic disorders that result from incest. Well, when Cleopatra was 14, her father chose her to be his co-ruler after her mother suddenly passed away under mysterious circumstances. Over the next 4 years, the young girl served as a deputy of the king and his regent, gathering all the necessary experience to become a future ruler. After her father died, she took the throne. But to keep it, the 18-year-old queen had to have a co-ruler. That's how she ended up marrying her little brother, Ptolemy VIII, who was just 10 at the time. But that's not all. After his death, which occurred several years later, she married her other brother, Ptolemy XIV. Oh boy. Number 2. Julius Caesar erected a statue of her in the Temple of Venus Genetrix. When Cleopatra sided with the Syrians, the Romans got really mad and decided to help the queen's first husband or brother seize the throne. This was way before his death, of course. One of his allies was the great Julius Caesar. Knowing that she had to turn the tables in her favor, Cleopatra decided to meet Caesar for herself. It's believed that she wrapped herself in a carpet that she had delivered to the general's quarters. Snug as a bug in a rug, apparently. The queen managed to charm Julius Caesar, and they quickly became allies. The 52-year-old general returned the throne to the 21-year-old Cleopatra. Despite such a huge age difference, the two soon became lovers. While all the movies depict a passionate romance between them, researchers are sure that this was just a convenient political partnership. Whatever it was, Caesar, who was also married, mind you, erected a statue of Cleopatra in the Venus Temple in Rome. As you can imagine, it was pretty scandalous, and unlike the Egyptians, the Romans didn't consider their rulers godlike, so the statue really offended their religious sensibilities. But still, even after the death of Julius Caesar, the statue remained in the temple for 200 more years. Number 3. Mark Antony once skipped an invasion to spend time with Cleo. The first meeting of Cleopatra and Mark Antony in the city of Tarsus, which is located in modern-day Turkey, is just one of many examples proving that the Egyptian queen definitely knew how to make an impression. Cleopatra was aware that the Roman officer saw himself as the embodiment of the Greek god Dionysus and expected others to worship him as such. Yeah, pretty arrogant to say the least. But Cleopatra decided to play along and appeared at the city gates dressed as the Greek goddess Aphrodite. She was surrounded by attendants dressed up as cupids, who fanned the queen and burned sweet-smelling incense around her. To no surprise, Mark Antony was impressed, and that's how their partnership started. In fact, the general was so enchanted that he once skipped a really important invasion just to spend time with Cleopatra. Number 4. She wasn't exactly a beauty. Wait, what? But in all the movies, she's always played by an absolutely gorgeous actress. Well, unfortunately, this might be just another myth. In February 2007, an ancient coin with a portrait of Cleopatra was discovered, and the image wasn't that of a drop-dead stunner. It's not to say she was ugly or anything, just kinda ordinary looking. In any case, her contemporaries saw her beauty not so much in her looks, but in her wit, character, and irresistible charisma. I'd say they had the right idea of what true beauty is. Number 5. Cleopatra wasn't just a ruler, she was a mother too. While Cleopatra didn't have any children with her brothers, she did have kids from both Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Her son with Caesar was named Caesarion, which means Little Caesar. Pizza, pizza. Cleopatra also had 3 children with Mark Antony: Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, twins named in honor of the sun and moon, and a son she called Ptolemy Philadelphus, or Ptolemy the brother-loving. Number 6. She loved spending money, but not only on herself. Cleopatra did spend around 50% of her share of the kingdom's income on beauty and other luxuries, but she was also an extremely efficient ruler who cared about her people. The queen implemented public welfare programs that made Alexandria a powerful, wealthy, and renowned city. Number 7. Cleopatra might not have died from a snakebite. Just don't ask me about it. Cleopatra's death is still a subject for debate. According to the most popular legend, she forced a poisonous viper to bite her on the breast. But a horrible, painful death like this would last for hours, and this contradicts the fact that she died quickly. Ancient historian Strabo wrote that Cleopatra always had a comb soaked in poison with her, so she possibly could have killed herself with it. A hairy way to end. Some other historians believe that the queen might have drunk a lethal mixture of poison from several snakes. Ooh, like a serpentine committee of death. Whew. Number 8. She could speak Egyptian Arabic, and yes, that was a big deal. The thing is that the queen was a member of the Ptolemy dynasty, which ruled Egypt for 300 years. This dynasty descended from Ptolemy I, a Macedonian Greek general under Alexander the Great. That's why people in Cleopatra's family spoke Greek and had Greek traditions. And as the ruling family, they had all court documents written in 2 official languages, Greek and Egyptian Arabic. Surprisingly, the Egyptians didn't mind Greeks ruling their country. That might be due to the fact that they liked these conquerors a little more than the previous ones, the Persians. In any case, they probably appreciated the fact that Cleopatra learned to write and speak in their native language. On top of that, Cleopatra was the first in her family to accept the local culture, ancient customs, and Egyptian gods. She even managed to persuade her people that she was the reincarnation of the god Isis. Hey, she's making Egypt great again. Number 9. Cleopatra's famous makeup was a sort of protection. Lots of images of Cleopatra depict the iconic queen with her signature makeup, eyes thickly lined with black kohl that often kept going down to the sides of her face, forming spirals and patterns. The New York Times states that this kohl wasn't only a cosmetic decoration. It contained 4 lead-based substances and was used to fend off eye infections, which were common in ancient Egypt. The lead was toxic to the bacteria that caused these infections. As a talented chemist, Cleopatra probably realized this and used the kohl to her advantage. But that still raises the question, was it really such a good idea to put toxic lead-based substances on your face? And you're asking someone who married 2 of her brothers? Hey, what's a little lead? Number 10. Cleopatra owned a perfume factory. The queen's knack for chemistry also explains her belief that fragrances could become a tool of persuasion. Therefore, she took full advantage of their powers. Besides, Cleopatra even had her own perfume factory. The ruins of this factory were found near Ein Gedi, which is situated on the Dead Sea. That place was also used as a beauty salon and spa. Cleopatra kept the recipes of different perfumes in her book, Genesiarum Libri. Unfortunately for us, this book, together with all the mind control knowledge in it, was lost in a fire at the Library of Alexandria. Too bad. Ooh, and here's a bonus. Cleopatra spent money on a cocktail that would be equivalent to over $16 million today. Cleo was the type who would easily throw a fortune away just to prove a point. According to one legend, Cleopatra once had a bet with Mark Antony that she could spend 10 million sesterces on just one dinner. A sestertius was a type of coin used in ancient Rome. So, to put it in perspective for you, that's about $16.7 million today. Surprisingly, the queen started with a pretty modest meal, but when she was done eating, she had a servant bring her a cup of vinegar. She then took one of her pearl earrings and removed the gem. It was said that the pearl was the largest in all of history and a unique work of nature. Well, Miss Cleo just dropped that masterpiece of Mother Nature right in the vinegar, watched it dissolve, and drank this self-made cocktail. Believe it or not, modern tests have proven that pearls do indeed dissolve in vinegar, but it takes them more than a day to disappear entirely, which begs the question, how potent was the vinegar they were using back in ancient Egypt? And an extra bonus, Cleopatra did have a barge, and she used it on the Nile quite a lot, dropping into many cities and towns where she wasn't exactly invited. So much so that the saying, "she just barged right in," is known to this day.